Government opposition both claim Venezuela election win. Official results question. This is a Reuters story. Craziness going on in Venezuela that even Musk is involved with this thing here. Let's read both stories and then we'll go from there. Maduro, an opposition candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, both claim victory in Venezuela's presidential election. The National Electoral Authority announced Maduro's win with 51% of the vote, but Gonzalez, supported by Maria Corina Machado, argued he had secured 70%, with independent exit polls are suggesting a significant opposition win. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken expressed serious concern that the official results did not reflect the people's votes. Isolated incidents of violence occurred before the results. Rob, if you have some of the clips to show were announced, including a death in Táchira state and scuffles in Caracas, Machado urged the military to uphold the true vote, stating voters had made clear they do not want Maduro. Despite this, Venezuelan military had historically supported Maduro, showing no signs of breaking from the government. And then the Sun does this other story, which there's a clip for this. Venezuelans risk civil war as both Putin's pal and oppositions declare war. Venezuela risks civil war as both Venezuela claim victory in president. Official results show same numbers. So I mean, similar story here on what's going on. Rob, do you have a clip to show about what's going on? Is this it? Play this clip. Play this clip, Rob. Is this the southern border or Venezuela?
Wait. Is this El Paso? I'm sorry.
Dude, yeah. Oh, you hear them shooting? They're actually shooting at...
They're tear gassing the people in the back there, okay?
Yeah, but they're saying that they were firing on them.
Oh.
So somebody's playing an instrument.
Go to Musk's tweet about this, Rob. If you can go to Elon Musk. Musk just tweeted about this a couple times. If you just go to, zoom in a little bit so we can see it. So that's one. Let me see what he says.
That's what he called him. But he called him a. He's like, he's the problem. I sent it to Rob. Wait, I'll read it to you, Pat. He said, where's the Maduro? Oh, yeah. He said,
the donkey knows more than
online
mature?
is controlled by the arch enemy, the famous Elon Musk, who wants to come with his rockets to invade Venezuela. We know you are behind everything with your money and satellites. You want to control the world. That's what he said.
Oh, he's saying that about Elon Musk.
He's saying that about Elon Musk. And mind you, just a couple of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has fled from the Miraflores palace, and they are not happy. They are not.
Go to the next clip because he's got a couple tweets about Venezuela. If you can go back, go a little lower, Rob.
While you're looking it up, the Western News was saying that they had actually broke perimeter and there were citizens and people rebelling into the palace.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday around 7 p.m. Eastern, that they broke perimeter.
That's the one right there. So it says, Maria Corina Machado, we have 73% of votes cast. We have all the minutes published, pinned, printed, verified. They will have to ratify the truth. Keep going it. The truth is what we all saw yesterday in streets of Venezuela. All minutes verified, inspected, tallied, scanned, digitized, and placed. Can you show, Vinny, the clip that you have that shows what happens with all of a
Robbie,
sudden?
can you send that? Yeah, guys, just out of curiosity, Rob has a chart. What does this remind you guys? Some of you guys, are still in the dark, but what does that remind you guys of? That's Venezuela's election graph, and that's Georgia's election graph. It's so weird.
You know what this means?
What?
That there's also a lot of people in Venezuela that are on the night shift and have to vote suddenly at 1 a.m.
Yeah, and so I want to make a point. So what's happening there, Tom, and I'm being very, very honest. That type of thing could happen here. Because let's go back to 2000.
I was being very obviously sarcastic.
But look at that. Like, there's no
we thought you were serious. But go ahead.
You're
You're
words
saying,
talk, numbers scream, and those numbers are screaming.
Tom, are you being
unusual.
sarcastic or serious?
No, he's being
right
serious.
now?
I'm being serious. Words
Okay.
talk, numbers scream, and there is a scream in both of those graphs that just looks very, very wrong.
And then, Rob, I'm going to have you go to the timeline but after this. But so let's go back. And what I'm saying is that could happen here, meaning let's go back to 2020, all right? Americans thought that their government cheated, and they did. And we called it what last week, Pat? Election fraud or election interference, which both equal Maine, it's cheating. So January 6th, they went to the Capitol to protest, which I respect, and I'll tell you why. They went to the heart of the problem. They thought, and they were right, that their government cheated. They didn't burn down their city. They didn't kill their fellow neighbor. They went to the heart of the problem, okay? And yes, once they were there, people like Ray Epps and the undercover, allegedly FBI, people that were in there agitating, they made them go crazy, okay? And what scares me is, PBD, in November, if they do this shit again, where that type of chart, that overnight Biden who never left the basement, and it's this jump, and we're pissed off, that's going to be the spark to light the fire. Because think about it, they tried to kill our nominee. They tried to kill Donald Trump. Let's just be honest with each other, and we did nothing. There was no riots. We didn't burn down Washington. We didn't do shit. Sorry for my language. We stayed strong. We're like, okay, let's see what happens. If they do that in November, I'm telling you right now, people, they're trying to push us. I'm not saying I want it to happen, Pat, but they're pushing us to the point where we're like, guys, enough is enough. And I'm so proud of the Venezuelan people. They don't even have guns, which it's kind of scary, but they are fighting back, and they're not letting it. They're not letting it go. They're not. And this guy just fled his palace. So good for them. And I pray for all of them out there that they're safe.
Let me just bring it back to what's going on in Venezuela. So I have a very good girlfriend of mine that's just from Venezuela, and she's actually been kind of educating me on this. And by the way, in Miami, we have so many Venezuelans that have showed up here over the last 10 years.
We have employees here too, you know that, right?
A land of Cubans. The Venezuelans have showed up. Now, if you want to know who hates communism and socialism, talk to the people in South Florida, in Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, that are from Cuba, that are from Venezuela. Oh my no. So here's what's actually happened over the last few weeks. So you have Maduro, and then you have the opposition party. It's an older guy, Edmundo Gonzalez. So for weeks, Maduro was trailing by over 25 percentage points for weeks. So it'd be the equivalent of Trump is above Kamala by 25%. It's a wrap.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the day of the election, Maduro wins 51% to 44%. So that's a 7-point swing. So what happened to those other 18 percentage points? Where'd they go? That's what people want to know. So you have people like Secretary of State Anthony Blinken coming out and basically saying, yeah, we don't recognize this. Sorry, guys. By the way, do you know who the biggest, loudest voice is on this? Our friend Javier Milei, Argentina. Shout out to this guy. Here's what he said. He said the following. He's issued a statement saying that the Venezuela Socialist President Maduro has lost and that Argentina will not recognize another fraudulent election. Quote unquote, Venezuela chose to end the communist dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro. The data announced a crushing victory for the opposition, and the world is waiting for it to recognize the defeat after years of socialism, misery, and decadence and death. Argentina is not going to recognize another fraud, and it hopes the armed forces this time will defend the democracy and the popular will. And then PBD, you always talk about socialism, communism. Rob, pull up this chart that I sent you.
What?
Right there. Okay.
Whoa.
So take a look at this. If you want to know what socialism and communism basically can do to a country, here's a little fun facts for you regarding Venezuela. Do you have the actual chart, Rob?
Just right there. Just
Yeah, that thing right there. So look in the yellow. Did you know that 60 years ago, Venezuela was 2 times richer than China? It was 4 times richer than Japan. It was the 4th ranked world economy and number 1 in Latin America. Its currency was second only to the US dollar, and they had an excellent health system. This is Venezuela. This is 60 years ago. 60 years later, there's a potential civil war because socialism and communism have run amok. And if you need another evidence, all you socialists out there, what happens when you go from capitalism to socialism? Look no further than Venezuela.
Great point, Bernie. Great point, Adam. Bernie Sanders, AOC. I sent Rob this chart to piggyback on you. When you say, Adam, and it's not like fear mongering, it can happen. Check out this timeline, PBD. In 1992, Venezuela, 3rd richest country in the hemisphere. 97, second largest purchaser of F-150. 2001
Those are pickup trucks.
Yeah, voted for 2001 a socialist president. Income equality. Pay attention. 2004 private healthcare is completely socialized. 2007 all higher education becomes free. 2009 socialists ban private ownership of guns.
Wonder why?
2012 Bernie Sanders praises their American dream. 2014 opposition leaders are imprisoned.
How Cuban of you.
Yeah, 2016 food healthcare shortages become widespread. 2017 constitution and elections are suspended. suspended, and then 2019, unarmed citizens massacred by their own government, and it only took one generation of that progressive leadership to plunge them into civil war. So don't get it twisted, and that's what these leaders, these Kamala Harrises, these Bernie Sanders, these AOCs, the squad, that's what they want. They want all of us to have that, so that's the future if you keep voting for these people.
So, by the way, great points, Vinny. If you see 2001, you know who they voted in right there?
Whoa.
That was the guy, Hugo Chavez. So that's the guy. And you have to understand one thing about Venezuela. They're basically like Saudi Arabia of Latin America. They're an oil-rich country. So what they try to do is socialize the oil, and anytime that you do socialize anything, believe me, there's only a few people getting rich, and that's the people running the government and not the people.
Yep.
What's pretty funny, if you ask everybody, what is the non-Middle East member of OPEC? It's Venezuela.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a sad situation, and it could, Pat, you said something the other day, like nobody can see a civil war, and then boom, it happens.
Yeah, and no, this is exactly how it causes it. When you feel like you're voting and your voice is not being heard, there's not many feelings more frustrating than you think your voice is not being heard. It doesn't matter where you're at, in a family, in a relationship, in a company, and no matter where you're at, and especially when it comes down to elections. So I got an update for you. Today at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm running this webinar, free webinar called the AI Revolution. This thing is it only limits, we upped it from 3,000 to 5,000. It only limits 5,000 people to be on. 20,000 people have already registered to get on. That's the QR code. You will all get a 30-page white paper that we've put together. We put 300 hours into this. On top of that, I will be announcing 3 new speakers that will be at the Vol Conference at the end of this webinar.
Nice.
The only way you get this white paper is by you being on this webinar. The QR code right there is for you to get registered for it. Go out there and register, but there's a couple other things I want you to do. Register, and at the same time, once your name is in there, go on your phone and add it to your calendar. Reminder, not at 6:00, 5:45 with a 15-minute reminder, because I know exactly what happens when we do these. While we go live, we're going to get thousands of emails of people saying can't get on, and it's because it's only limited to 5,000 people to get on. That is intentional. That's the QR code. Get registered. We have a lot to talk about. It breaks down every single time we went through a certain industrial revolution, things that changed, what the fears were, what industries were disrupted, how many millions of jobs were lost in a certain sector, and how the same thing is happening with AI. But if you don't know how to prepare for it, you're going to take a hit. Whether you're an employee, entrepreneur, executive, this is the webinar for you. Go to that QR code, get registered. We'll have that tonight, again, 6:00, Tuesday, July 30th, Eastern Standard Time.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.